Right. There's one little behavior in Praat that sometimes catches people out. It's not a difficult thing to get around, but if you don't know that it's something to watch for, yeah, it can catch you out and it can be frustrating. And it has to do with how Pratt saves files. So here's I've got a sound loaded in here, just a sample.
Sample.
See, uh, and I want to do a couple of things with it. So first, I want to save it, and now there's a lot of different options for saving. When you have a sound file, my favorite is save as wave file. I'm going to just save it in this demo folder. Get this default name sample, hit save, and when it's saved in this folder, uh, Praat saves it and it identifies it as a wave file for the system. So I could double click on that and it'll come up in my sound player. And in a minute, eventually, it'll play the sound for me. Here we go.
Sample.
Okay. And so this is the behavior that we normally expect. We have a program, it saves a file, it saves it in a way that when we're not in our program, but just browsing through files and we click on the file, it'll load up and do some sensible default thing. But and so far Pratt is doing okay, but it doesn't always do okay with this. So let's see instead, let's put it in the picture window. So here I've got a visualization of this wave as a waveform, and I want to save this as an image. So I'm going to call it sample waveform and hit enter. And you see, this is a blank icon. If I double click on this, Windows isn't sure what to do with it. It takes a minute and it's trying to guess. It's giving me a bunch of options. Now, the the thing to remember about this is that the reason that in this case Windows and other operating systems often work the same. The reason that the operating system knows what that sound file is that there's a little suffix added to the file name. It's .wav in this case, uh, and the sound player, whatever sound player system you have, has told the system, "Hey, if you come across these files, I know how to deal with them. So let me add it." And so that's why we get that icon when we double click. The system knows to go to that file. But with this image, even though in Pratt I said, if you remember over here in the file save, I said save as a PNG file. That's a type of image format. And there's two things about that format. One is that the file that it created that I can see there, the internal structure of that, all the data in it is formatted as a PNG image file. And the second thing is I want to tell the system how to do it. And Pratt doesn't by default give it that. So if I were to go into this file and just sort of click on it so I can edit the thing, if I just type sample waveform dot png, so I'm adding that suffix. If I hit enter, you'll notice the .png disappears because it says, "Oh, this is giving me, this is giving me some useful information," and it processes it as an image file. And so you can see that the thumbnail there is suddenly the thumbnail of an image. And if I double click on it, Windows is going to open it in an image file. Okay, so it has a few options, but the top one is the Photos program. And this opened on a different desktop, but you'll see it here in a second. There we go. Okay. Now, there's other things that we sometimes do. Some some of the data that we use in Pratt it's saved in its own particular form, a Pratt specific format, and and so it'll have different kinds of suffixes. It's not always a three-letter suffix; it can be any length. Since years ago, it used to be only three letters, so that's why you see a lot of three-letter suffixes. But you can put anything after it. Pratt This is the other thing that I'm not going to demonstrate here. Praat doesn't tell the system about all these different file formats. So if you have a Praat specific file format and you're like, oh, I want to load that in Praat, generally you're not going to be able to double click it in your your file browser and get it to launch in Praat. You'll have to open Praat and go through the open menu in Praat and then go find the file and draw it in from within Praat. And it's frustrating. It's a little awkward, but it's the way that Praat is. For files like the image files here, the main thing is if it looks like it's unopenable, if you remember what kind of format it should be in, just add that little suffix. And a lot of the time that will solve your problem. Your system will then know what to do with it. So I hope that's helpful. Praat is a powerful, wonderful piece of software, but it has some quirks. So I hope this can help you navigate those quirks and really take advantage of the real power of Praat.